Welcome in. I'm a bit shaky today because I almost died this morning due to an electrical issue. There's a hot tub in the backyard and it was completely ready to be disconnected. The breakers were off, the emergency shutdown was flipped, and still got a major pop and burned a hole. So today we're back in NovNov, our eighth day in here, and we are going to be building a poor person's jump server so that tomorrow we can set up a DNS filter on AdGuard. First things first, we need to create a new droplet in our NovNov project. I'm going to keep most of the things similar. It's going to be in Amsterdam again because it's personal preference. You can put it wherever makes the most sense for you. Though I did see Bangalore had an outage currently, so maybe avoid that one. I'm going to use Rocky Linux for this one instead of CentOS. Very similar operating system. Both are somewhat related to the Red Hat Enterprise Linux or RHEL. Version's fine. Shared basic, regular. I am going to throw this one on a $6 a month plan, specifically because of what it's going to be doing on AdGuard or DNS filtering with AdGuard. But we'll get into that later. For now, we'll use that same key. Don't worry, we'll make it more secure. I rarely use the same key for multiple VMs or droplets. And we're going to name this NovNov-AdGuard. If you're not familiar with AdGuard, they have a service called AdGuard Home, which is a DNS filter. We won't get too deep into it. We're just going to get it running. So we're going to do NovNov for the tag, AdGuard, demo, and we'll leave it there. I'll throw the OS on there as well, actually. Make sure I know it's different. And then make sure it is in the NovNov project, so we'll be able to see it right next to the other one. Create it and give it a second to get in. So we are going to be working with multiple droplets at the same time, so I am going to double terminal. So let me go ahead and get a terminal open as an admin. Pop another one. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Uh, you know, eh. I use Windows, guys. I swear. I regularly use this operating system. I'm not just a Linux person that forgets how to do anything in Windows. So I'm going to have one of my uh, terminals be my connection for S Smith over to that droplet that we've been using. So there we are on NovNov-2 on that side. And then for the other side, I'm going to try and ping 104, 248, 194, 210. So I can talk. So now let's try and SSH into that root account. All right, so now I am NovNov on AdGuard on this one. So we'll be using a group of terminals. Over on the right, I've got S Smith. On the left, I've got AdGuard. That's not correct. It's the other way around. I need more coffee. So before we get any further, one thing that you should be familiar with is that your droplets also have private networks that connect them. It is not just the public side of how we access them, but they can also access each other. And that will be, I'm fairly certain, this one right here. So my S Smith internally or on the private side has a 10.110.04, and my root at NovNov-AdGuard has a 110.03. Let's try and see if we can actually talk internally. It would help if I pinged the right address and not just itself. There we go. So root at NovNov-AdGuard can talk to smith at NovNov2, but can we ping the other way? Yeah. We could let that run forever, or we could control C. So now we know that our NovNov2 has the IP of 10.10.04 internally, whereas our AdGuard has 10.10.110.03 internally. Oh, numbers are hard today. So now what we need to do is to get this to work, we have to create keys for S. Smith to authenticate to AdGuard or NovNov-AdGuard. So we did this previously. We created keys on our local machine and then pasted them in so that S. Smith could access, but that's not what we want to do this time. This time we want to create keys on NovNov2. So in this case, will be SSH hyphen keygen. I'll do that same ed 25519. Again, the comment of the email that you're going to be using. For S. Smith, I used my info at cybergoblin.org, so I'll use that one again. We're going to save this one just as the default location will be fine. Always password protect your keys. Ooh, permission denied. Hey, it's because we weren't sudo in it. So this is going to be why that was an issue, and I did clear it off so that you guys didn't get the immediate fix. I have my authorized keys here, but that's not where Steve Smith's key was stored. So he didn't have permission to write there. Where it was stored when we used it as sudo was in the root directory. If you sudo, you got a sudo. And now I have these keys. So now I need to sudo cat root .ssh IDED25 519.pub. So we got /root /ssh /ID underscore ed 25519 pub. Make sure you do the public, not the private, because this is what we'll need to copy. And then over here, if we do an ls-a, we've got our .ssh. So now we need to cd into .ssh. And then I can just echo into authorize underscore keys. I do it like that so that then I can just click in here and then right click to paste. Nice and neat. There it is in my authorized keys file. So again, picking up similar things we did previously, but now we're doing it from Droplet to Droplet. So now Steve Smith should be able to remote in to SS. This is so strange to think about out loud. It's one of the things that I never really say out loud, but you do. And then when you do it out loud in a video, you're like, oh yeah, this is wild to explain to people. But the process that we have, right? We have NovNov2, we have NovNov-AdGuard. We are eventually going to close down NovNov-AdGuard so that it can only be accessed from NovNov2, specifically with that SSH key. right? So now we need to get that key. It's already over there, and we have it inside of that root directory. So let's go ahead and see if we can get it to work. Before we close anything out, we got to make sure it actually works. So let's go ahead and SSH root at 10.110.03. Failed to add the host. Oh, permission denied. Okay, so we'll do sudo SSH root at. Do you guys understand why sometimes people just like working as root and not using sudo? That's how you fall into bad habits, though. Was our passphrase. There we go. So now over here, I am root at NovNov-AdGuard using SSH. So I'll exit out of there to get back to smith at NovNov2. This would have been better if we made it a user on AdGuard, but this is a demo, not a production system. So that is why we're going to keep it pretty basic. All right, so back over on AdGuard 2. Now we need to get in. So right now, anyone can access NovNov-AdGuard using the key on my host system. But I don't want direct access. I want the only access to be through smith or root on NovNov2 to the root of NovNov-AdGuard. So we're going to need to use, excuse me, we could use a lot of things. I like firewall-cmd. I'm gonna make sure that's on here this time because you guys remember in a previous video, I was just like, yeah, we use firewall-cmd, and then it wasn't there. And again, it isn't here. So we're gonna go ahead and do dnf install eepl release space -y. Eepl release is the extra packages for enterprise Linux, which then gives us things like firewall-cmd. Getting killed. I thought it was getting killed before because I broke it. Oh, you know what? I did look into that. Uh, do I want to troubleshoot that today? I don't really want to troubleshoot it today. Is there IP tables on here? I also don't have IP tables. But I want to restrict it. Oh, it's not firewall CMD. It's firewall D. Nerd. See if it kills it though, because that was weird. Yeah, it's still getting killed. Let's go ahead and pull up some troubleshooting really quick. I won't spend too much time on this, y'all. But let's see what we can pull up. Yeah, it could be, what was the command? D message? And then just tail it. Let's see what's going through. OOM, out of memory kill. So it is trying to update, but it can't because it doesn't have enough memory. So that is what I was thinking the other day when I was like, hey, let's go ahead and give this more resources. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and upsize. Well, first I'm going to close out of my session. I don't like upsizing or changing things while it's running. I will change this back down later because I am cheap. I don't like paying $12 a month for something, but having that 2 gigs of memory will probably give us enough. RAM only, basic, basic. There we go. Upsize droplet. Oh, right. Gotta turn it off first. So while that is turning off, this is why I didn't clear this one out, so I can show you guys this D message is a way to look at the last or the most recent events is one way to think about it. Some of your buffer stuff. Tail looks at the end of it, and what I was looking for was this right here that killed it. So OOM kill or out of memory killed is what you would be looking for in that case. It was pulling too much, right? So it wasn't able to actually do the thing. I'm just going to resize it to the $16 a month to give me premium intel. Uh, it's resizing currently. If that doesn't work, I could probably create some swap. I do have 25 gigs of storage on there. That wasn't what I was planning on doing for this video, but I do want to get this to just work in one video with y'all. It would have almost been easier to just build a bigger droplet and restart all this stuff, but uh, NovNov, what can I say? So let's go ahead and hop back in here because as soon as this is ready, we can hop back in and see if that will fix us. It's not back online yet. All right, so now we're back online. I'm gonna go back to my droplets so I can see both of them. Try that ping-ing again. And this time we were able to get some pings. I did lose one, so just for my own sanity, I'm gonna try again. We're gonna SSH back in. And now you guys are starting to see the problem. I have a key in there, right? But do you guys remember what I did? I didn't, let me see if it's on here. Yeah, we talked about this previously. We echoed it into authorized keys, but I did a single caret, not a double caret. So this overwrote it. So now the only way to access that droplet via keys is going to be, clear that out, from NovNov2. Let's go back over to S Smith, NovNov2. Now I want to see that private IP of the AdGuard root at 10.110.03. How many times do you guys think I could forget to do sudo in one video? I was doing the key password, not the user password. There we go. So now we're knob on AdGuard. I'm going to go ahead and once again try to do that DNF install Firewalld D. Let's see if it works this time. There we go. So it wasn't killed now. So firewall-cmd space hyphen hyphen list all is going to show all of our rules if it's running. That time I almost did sudo when I didn't need to. So systemctl space enable space hyphen hyphen now space firewall D will get it started. List our rules and what we're allowing to come into our firewall. Currently is Cockpit that we talked about yesterday, though it's not running, DHCPV client, and SSH. I want to change that up so that not just anyone can SSH. I know the keys protect us a little bit, but we've got to have more than one layer of security. So let's maybe break it while trying to make it more secure. Firewall hyphen CMD space hyphen hyphen permanent. I can never remember how to spell that word. Hyphen hyphen add rich rule equals, and then we do apostrophes for rule family, quotes for IPv4, source address, and now this will be NovNov2's IP address. I'm not fast enough at this or scripted enough. Service name equals SSH space accept, very similar to the telnet one we did not recently, a couple days ago now. Except instead of reject at the end, it's going to be accept. Instead of service telnet, it's going to be service SSH. And now we're adding a source address. So we've added that in. Now for the dangerous part, let's go ahead and remove permanently the service of SSH. Oh, this would be a great time for a failure, wouldn't it? If this was any other project, I would have restarted like 6 times by now. Let's go ahead and reload our firewall. Exit out. All right, so now the source address that it should work from is our current one. Uh, so let's check and see if that works still. Let's SSH 10.110.03. I'm still able to get in. If I pop open a new PowerShell just from my host computer, see we're user Jeff Gay, testnet connection to that IP address. Over port 22. So I have a different source IP, so this shouldn't work. We're not trying to log in, so there shouldn't be a key issue. I just want to see if it can talk, see if it's allowed. Testnet connection, as a reminder, is like a super ping. Just like a super ping, it takes forever. And that did work. I was able to, so let's see if that restriction needs to be on the public-private side. Let's go ahead and go back in here, and let's do firewall CMD list all again. So I have a rich rule for IPv4, source address 10.110.04, service name SSH accept. SSH is not on here, so it might be just the testnet connection still worked because it was accepting traffic from someone and the firewall wasn't doing it well enough. Another way we can double check though is I still have that key, right? So if I do cat.ssh, not cat.ssh, cd.ssh, ls. I've got my key in here. I can cat that IDED25519.p. I am now going to append this, not overwriting. I'm going to append this into the .ssh authorized keys. Overwriting would be a single, appending would be a double. So let's reload the SSH daemon. Let's reload firewall-d. And now let's try, and my key is there. right? So my authorized key should be accepted for root. Did I do the wrong one earlier? I did. I did the IP address of NovNov2, which of course I can do that one because that's the one that I am using as my jump server. I'm going to blame the several volts of electricity that burned a hole in a screwdriver that I was holding earlier and potentially zapped the crap out of me for miskeying that and all of those other miskeys and all of those other pseudo errors that I had earlier. So what I'm going to blame today, but I have to do this video today because it's NovNov. I can't skip it. So key irrelevant, right? So I did add the key on there, but I can't talk to it because I'm not coming from the 10.10.04 address, right? So 10.10.04 or NovNov2 is the only one that will be able to talk there. So even though I have a key that is known by that host, the TCP connection is not going to work. Now, in the future, to make this even more secure, you could go ahead and not do root access to the droplet and instead create root access so that you can create user access for via SSH keys. But now we have two droplets that are running. Let me go ahead and exit out of all this. So many things to exit out of. We have two droplets that are running, NovNov2 and NovNov-AdGuard. Tomorrow I will be using NovNov-AdGuard to set up the service of AdGuard Home and then put my computer or some of my home computers on there for DNS so that we can see some results probably on the following day. But that is everything for today's NovNov. Thank you for bearing with me for all of the false starts that we had. I'm going to go de-electrify my brain, so hopefully we don't run into this again tomorrow.